What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another Dota commentary. This is the grand finals of the ATS Gaming Tournament #1, brought to you by ATSGaming.com. I'm B-Ballin from DotaCommentators.com, B-Ballin773 on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, the whole shebang. If you want to give me advice, criticism, if you want to contact me for other tournaments, you can email me at bballin773@gmail.com. And shouts, as always, to our sponsors for this tournament, Complet and SteelSeries, as they have put on a fantastic prize pool. Only the top two do get it, but what they get is definitely nothing to laugh about, because it's around 2k euros in total prize pool, so it's definitely nothing to be taken lightly. And meanwhile, this is a best of 5 matchup, or should I say first of 3 matchup, because Rat in the Dark are coming from the winners bracket, Tangoes are coming from the losers bracket. Rat in the Dark have yet to lose a single match in their way through this tournament. Meanwhile, Tangoes have recovered. They did lose to Rat in the Dark and made it all the way to the grand finals, but they are down in the losers bracket deficit, 1 match to nothing. Now, Tangoes is a team that really loves to split push all across the board. Meanwhile, Rat in the Dark, really hard to say what their playstyle is. I think they just really like playing solid. They stick together, they do counter ganks. They overall are a pretty solid team, and actually this tournament is casted a week after this, or this replay is casted a week after the grand finals match actually happened. So I can tell you that Tangoes and Rat in the Dark both fared decently well in some of the EMS Cups that have been going on, brought to you by ESL and Join Dota. So they are definitely up-and-coming teams that are looking to make a good impact, and this is a good way to get some nice pocket change, some cool gear. I think the winning team gets 5 headsets and a nice amount of computer gear prizes from Complet, as well as 250 euros. And the losing team of this match gets slightly less, as I think the overall prize pool worth for the first place is around 1,000. The overall prize pool worth for the second place is around 800. So Tango is going to first pick up Bat Rider, snatching him right from underneath Rat in the Dark noses. So we'll see what Rat in the Dark decide to do to respond to this, as the only real quote-unquote imbalanced heroes who are still left in the pool are probably Magnus and maybe Gyrocopter. I'm not too sure if Gyrocopter would be the choice of Rat in the Dark. Gyrocopter is not really imbalanced. He's just overall a very versatile hero that can be picked up very early on and doesn't really give away too much of your strategy. But Bat Rider is going to be the first choice for Tangoes. Again, Tangoes is very versatile with the Bat Rider. They can jungle him, they can put him in the off lane, they can jungle then off lane with him, they can put him in the mid lane, and sometimes they can even try lane them. But we're going to see a Nyx as well as a Rubik. So no Magnus pickup just yet for Rat in the Dark, and it could be left to Tangoes. If they manage to get their hands on a Magnetar, their initiation will be unparalleled, and I'm really going to be worried for Rat in the Dark's teamfight if they manage to pick up Magnetar. Of course, they have to lane the Magnetar, and that's an entirely different story, but still, if Tangoes manage to get their hands on Magnetar, if they have a place for Magnetar in their lineup, then their teamfight again will be ridiculously difficult to stop. Bat Rider, one of the best initiators in the game in terms of making a teamfight 5v4, and we all know how good Reverse is. But Nyx Assassin Rubik, definitely very versatile picks. Nyx is a very strong hero, Mana Burn. Impale Spike Carapace can shut down teams. Teamfight abilities, can stun people for around 6 seconds in a teamfight if they manage to get a Spike Carapace proc, as well as the Impale. Mana Burn just makes casters or mana dependent strength heroes just really regret their decision letting Nyx Assassin through. And of course, Vendetta makes the supports sort of force the supports to sort of get wards, so that could definitely be an issue, as the supports will be very squishy, and Nyx Assassin does thrive on feeding off squishy supports. Meanwhile, Rubik, not really seen as a first pick, first ban material, but his winning percentage has really skyrocketed as of late, and picking up the Rubik, that could also be a preventative counter to a potential Magnus pickup, because if Rubik steals reverse polarity, there goes a lot of initiation right there. So Lifestealer is going to be chosen out of Tangoes, and they might not pick up the Magnus just because there is a Rubik in the picture. But no, I am going to stand corrected, because it is going to be Magnus again, the team fight for Tangoes. If they manage to get something like a Blink Lifestealer Bomb in the Magnus, if they get a Blink Bat Rider Lifestealer Bomb, they have so many forms of initiation, so many forms of damage. And Rat in the Dark going to counter the Lifestealer pickup with a Weaver. Now this is commonly seen in the North American scene against Lifestealer, because Open Wounds just does nothing against Weaver when Shikuchi's away. But there are a couple mechanisms to lock Weaver in place if Lifestealer picks up a Basher, if you manage to get a couple lucky bashes, of course RP, and Flame Loss are very long duration stuns And keep in mind, Weaver Shikuchi does have Fade Time, so Barretter more often than not will just blink in Lasso before Weaver can actually go invisible, because I think the Fade Time for Shikuchi is 0.25 or 0.5. It's not an instant Fade Time by any means. So out of Tangoes, probably have their offlaner or mid laner in the form of Magnus. I imagine Barretter will probably jungle and then go into the offlane, so it'll be a Magnus mid lane most likely. Leicester will most likely be in the safe lane, and we're seeing Ryan the Dark respond accordingly by banning out supports. Leshrac, Shadow Demon, well, Shadow Demon was already banned by out of Tangoes. Disruptor, all very potent supports for the Leicester to pair up with, and I expect Disruptor to be banned just because that Static Storm against Nyx won't really get reflected. Weavers really has a lot of trouble with that Static Storm if he can't get the silence off. Rubik, if he's caught in Static Storm, will just make him a living heck. So I expect Ryan the Dark to ban out this Disruptor right here. Meanwhile, out of Tango is going to ban out Mechanical Heroes, banning out the Gyrocopter. They know that the tri-lane is most likely set. Weaver, Rubik, Nyx Assassin is most likely going to be a tri-lane. So I think they're banning out mid heroes that give Magnus a bit of trouble, as well as potential offlane heroes. They want to make sure they have all the initiation in the bag. If Clockwork jumps on the Barretter, there goes a lot of initiation right there. If they manage to hook in on the Magnetar, you can just sort of spread around the Magnetar and constantly just interrupt him, even though Magnetar's reverse is very, very quick casting time. Meanwhile, Ryan the Dark going to ban out the Venomancer, saying Leicester Venomancer, definitely something that could be very scary. So these bans, it could indicate that Ryan the Dark might want to try an offensive challenge. This is more of a safe lane support bans. Venomancer really fallen out of favor in offensive challenge, but he's still very powerful with that AoE slow. But the reason why he's fallen out of favor in sort of offensive challenge is just because it costs a clarity to cast at least 2 Gales in a single engagement. So that is a resource that is going to be scarce for Venomancer, but that's not going to matter because he's been removed from the equation entirely. And it means like Lone Druid gonna get the Band Hammer right here. So out of Tangoes, gonna put the Barretter in the offlane, Magnus mid lane. So all they need is those 2 supports, potentially a support and a jungler. I know out of Tangoes they do love to split push, so getting something like a jungler to help reinforce one side of the map while they split push could definitely be an option if it be Chen, Enigma, anything like that. If they get Enigma, it might be a bit of overkill because they have a very long cooldown on their ultimates. And right now, around the dark, if they do have pretty short cooldowns on their ultimates, they can just go in, engage, and fight very, very easily. As I was just checking the stream for some reason or another reset itself. The internet here is trashed here. Ryan the Dark gonna ban out the Disruptor, makes a lot of sense. Again, a support that pairs very well with the Lifestealer. Static Storm gives everybody fits, so it's not too surprising to see a Disruptor ban right here. Meanwhile, out of Tango is probably going to choose one of their first supports. I am going to guess it is going to be something like a Jakiro, get them some really nice team fight. Ice Path, Macro Power with the Magnus RP on top of that. And considering the fact that there's no real top tier supports left in the pool, means that Jakiro will be a likely choice, but again, anything is possible. They're going to choose Shadow Shaman, interesting, so they really just want to isolate a target. They know they have team fight, so they might not want any more AoE because they have the Magnus, but most likely with the Leicester in their trial, they just want to isolate a target, burst him down, and just make his life a living heck. But the Shadow Shaman means that this will be a very defensive trial by out of Tangoes. And meanwhile, Ryan the Dark going to respond to Nature's Prophet. Nature's Prophet most likely will be in the offlane, he'll probably jungle for a bit. But Nature's Prophet does fare pretty well if he doesn't get in range of open wounds because he is a bit faster than Shadow Shaman. Shadow Shaman has shorter range on the shackle, and meanwhile Nature's Prophet has high range on his attack damage, can use the trees to bully out Shadow Shaman, so this is definitely a pretty solid offlane choice in my opinion. Definitely better than something like Bounty Hunter, who's melee and has to venture very close, where Shadow Shaman just destroys him. And Tango is going to solidify their split push with a Chen. Keep in mind they don't have any really prototypical split pushes, but if they manage to get in power on Lifestealer, they can clear creep waves very, very quickly. Magnus by himself can split push decently, and I'm just bringing up the split push because Tangoes in all of their matches I've watched thus far really just love to annoy the heck out of their opponents with their split push.
10 seconds.
Meanwhile, Rat in the Dark thinking long and hard. Probably want to get the mid solo here if they don't put Nyx in the mid lane. Queen Pain could be an option. I mean, most heroes do reasonably well against Magnus. They might not win the lane, but they should be able to get a reasonable amount of farm, so they could afford to go a bit risky if they truly want to. Maybe something like a Night Stalker to really make Shadow Shaman and Shen's life a living heck. That could be an option. Or they could put Nyx in the mid lane and just see how Magnus deals with it. But I think Magnus does pretty well against Nyx, because he often bottle couriers, his shockwave mana cost is very low, and Nyx will just eventually get out-harassed because the shockwave cooldown is so low. But yeah, Rat in the Dark, I'm expecting for them to pick up mid solo here. If I were them, I'd try to go for something a bit more risky, maybe something like a Night Stalker. They have solid split push, they have decent late game. Although Weaver does get out carried by Leicester without Magnetar, but Chen does fade out in comparison to the rest of the heroes on the side of Rat in the Dark. So we will see what the side of Rat in the Dark will decide to go for. Queen of Pain could be an option if they really want to win the mid lane. They're going to pick up Windrunner, so it's going to be... it could be Jungle, Nature's Prophet, offlane, Windrunner, and Nyx Assassin mid. That seems to be the likely choice, as Rubik and Weaver should be enough to keep Batrider out of the lane for the most part. But actually it's going to be Floxplox playing that Magnetar, so Magnetar will be going to the offlane. Floxplox known for his offlane play, so this will be an offlane Magnetar. And it's going to be a Batrider mid lane, so whoever goes mid lane, Nyx Assassin, you're just going to have a really difficult time. You can mana burn the bat, but keep in mind the mana burn cooldown is so long, and keep in mind Sticky Napalm mana cost is only about 20 at level 1, and it's just ridiculously cheap in terms of mana cost, so Nyx Assassin does get beaten down pretty hard by Barrett in my opinion, but we'll see how they decide to lane it. Rat in the Dark, that is. As the side of Tangoes, it's pretty obvious how they're going to lane it, now that we see Floxplox handing that Magnetar. As my voice is a little bit shaky at the moment.
Prepare for battle.
Alright, should be good to go. So on the side of Tangoes, we have Frigo playing the Shadow Shaman, Steph Style playing the Chen, Floxplox playing the Magnetar, Sisso playing the Batrider, and the Maglev Gank Train handling that Lifestealer meal on the side of Rat in the Dark. We're going to have Boogie playing the Nature's Prophet, Spin is playing the Windrunner, JRX is playing the Rubik, Sifla is playing the Weaver, and Lapis is playing the Nyx Assassin. Keep in mind, this is a first 3 matchup in Rat in the Dark from the winner's bracket. Already have a 1 game advantage, so all I have to win are 2 games. Meanwhile, Tangoes do have to take 3 games. And Rat in the Dark have yet to lose a single match going into this tournament. Keep in mind, the semifinals and the winner's bracket finals were best of 3. So the fact that they've lost 0 matches thus far is very impressive. And even though the strongest teams were in the pool, there are still solid teams. Tangoes lost to Rat in the Dark. Photo lost to Rat in the Dark. Photo has definitely made some waves recently, beating down pretty solid teams, winning the 4PL, I think. And, you know, competing pretty well in the ESL League. So Rat in the Dark definitely putting out a strong performance, and the fact that they've already managed to get themselves a nice chunk of that prize definitely speaks for itself. But the starting horn does sound, and we're gonna see mass wards being placed all around the jungle, making Chen's life a living heck. I'm not too sure. I imagine this ward is enough to block off this jungle camp, otherwise what's the point of placing it? It doesn't see anything, so I imagine this ward will block off this camp. This ward probably going to block off this camp, and they put 2 wards, I think, that can block off the camp, so if they deward this ward, then this ward will still spy it off. And I think if you place a sentry ward, you'll have to place a sentry ward something like there to potentially deward both wards, and then that might block off the wards. But we are going to see Spin in the offlane position. Nature's Prophet will be jungling it up most likely, and we are going to see that Nyx Assassin mid, and you can already see Lapis is going to have a very difficult time already using the mana burn at L1. But you can see the cooldown on the mana burn, and the fact that Nyx is melee means that he really can't get too much accomplished in this battle against Batrider. And Batrider, recognizing that there was going to be an Nyx Assassin mid, going to go for that fast follow, making the mana burn pretty irrelevant for the most part. And one thing that is a problem for Nyx compared to most lineups is that Spike Carapace doesn't really do too much. Keep in mind, Napalm does 0 damage, so you can stack Napalms without any fear of being Spike Carapace, and if he flies overhead with the Firefly, he will usually have 3 or 4 stacks, and the duration of Spike Carapace won't be long enough that Batrider can't get another stack and just fly over and kill Nyx. So Batrider definitely has a very solid advantage in this laning situation. Meanwhile, Floxplox gonna skewer back the Rubik, but keep in mind that skewer much reduced range compared to its pre-nerf state. And JRX should be fine, so we'll check out the last hits. You can see Lifestealer and Weaver For the most part, Weaver does have the advantage in this matchup, although Weaver does need a couple more damage items in order to really get his damage going. And the team fight, I do believe, is firmly in the advantage of Out of Tangoes. But if Out of Tangoes waits too long, they might be in danger of getting split pushed to death, as we're already going to see the first blood happen on the top lane. Looks like Rubik got the telekinesis, didn't even have to use a Fable, and Weaver was able to secure the kill, so Magnetar going to be very, very disappointed thus far, as he's going to feed Weaver a very early on kill, or feed Rubik an early kill, get him the flying courier up ASAP, get some wards, and so far the Dire are looking pretty strong in this top lane, although Fox won't be too dissuaded in terms of getting experience. Again, unless telekinesis is in the picture, then he really has no fear as long as Skewer is off of cooldown. But we're going to see Barrett take this time to bottle up the regen rune. You can see Nick Assassin having a miserable time thus far. 7-2, so he's faring reasonably well. Meanwhile, Barrett just 6-1. Barrett going to roam around, get the mid rune, and just going to be very happy stacking napalm. So he pops the regen rune. He could go for a kill for the Nyx Assassin if he gets 1 or 2 more stacks. But Barrett are most likely going to wait for his boots. Meanwhile, Nyx Assassin, is this boots or bottle? Usually against Barrett, you want to get the boots up ASAP, otherwise he will just dive you. But it is going to be the bottle, so he could be in big trouble very, very soon once Barrett picks up the boots, which I imagine is Barrett's next step. But Nyx Assassin actually just going to smartly bottle courier it up and should be A-okay. Meanwhile, on the bottom lane, Spin doing a bit of harassment against Leicester. Leicester having little trouble against Windrunner thus far, but isn't really enough to keep the Windrunner back. You can see Windrunner getting a lot of experience in the lane thus far, and has that Ring of Basilius up very, very quickly. As we're going to see Barrett eventually pop the regen rune. I imagine he's waiting for the boots. The boots are not yet being shipped towards him. Not too sure what he's waiting for, as the regen rune will expire without him attempting a kill, and I think he could potentially go for a kill, as the Impale is dodged. Definitely going to get 1 more stack off. No, nice magic stick usage, and now Barrett knowing that if he does dive, the regen rune will not go off to its fullest, so he will be unable to start the dive. But the regen rune is going to pop very, very soon, as he's going to use it right now. No stacks on the NA, so this is just used to fuel Barret's mana and HP regen. Meanwhile, Nature's Prophet, I imagine just going for the standard Midas build that we see so often these days, but unfortunately out of mana for his Force of Nature, as his Treants won't help him jungle for quite a bit, because his Nature's Call is going to be just a bit too mana expensive this early on. Gonna see a smoke attempt by the side of the Rain. Looks like the Rain did a nice job in terms of counter-warding most of the wards in the jungle. And they're gonna wrap around trying to pick off the Windrunner, Shackle, and a Chen creep. What Chen creep is that? It is a slow creep. And keep in mind, Windrunner, if she is slow before she pops Windrunner, she will still be quite slow. As that is slow by the Furbog, definitely nothing to be underestimated, as Leicester is going to speed in with the phase boots. Here comes a dive around by the Furbog. Windrunner going to pop the Windrun, but he comes the Shackle shot, going to allow Leicester to pick up a very easy kill, but unfortunately Chen only being level 3, I don't know if they can apply too much pressure to this tower. Looks like they are going to try to do so, as meanwhile Nyx Assassin going to die on that middle lane. Barrett are easily able to pick up the kill, didn't even have to use lasso, and that's very important. That means once Nyx Assassin teleports back in lane, once Barrett refills his bottle, Nyx Assassin just going to have to play it extremely defensively once again. So this mid lane is going to be a disaster for the Nyx Assassin. Bottom lane, the fact that Windrunner should be very close to level 6 doesn't mean too much, or isn't too bad for the Dire, but the fact that Leicester is essentially free farming up, already has a face, but it's going to go for the drums. Could be a lot of trouble for Rat in the Dark very, very soon. Stream keeps crashing. I think that might be Twitch's end, because I just reset the internet. So Twitch, why you gotta break my balls, man? Meanwhile, Barrett gonna get his Tranquil Boots. Gonna save up for the dagger starting now. And at this place, he should have around a 10-minute dagger. Does have Tranquil Boots. Might want to get a TP, but looks like there's not gonna be too much action happening in the other lanes. Probably can't help Magnus out too much, as Nyx Assassin just down hit level 6. And gonna use his Impale to start clearing the creep waves a lot more effectively, but we're gonna see Chen camp the rune. Windrunner gonna be a little bit too late in terms of killing it. Gonna give Chen some nice harassment, as Nyx Assassin gonna roam top, but the rune already been killed. But it might just come down to carry battle. Weaver versus Leicester, And most situations, Weaver definitely has the upper hand, can just kite Lifestealer to nobody's end, can pick off supports, especially squishy supports like the Xiao Shan and the Chen if he manages to get himself a Lincoln Sphere. But there is the problem of Magnus and Barrett, 2 heroes who can lock down the Weaver for quite a bit of time. So with that in mind, I think until Nature's Prophet starts becoming a problem, Tangoes should have a solid advantage. But again, the X factor in this game is going to be the Nature's Prophet for the most part. He did pick up the urn rather than going for Maya, so this indicates that he wants to go for some early ganks. The question is, where will he gank? I imagine he'll try to gank some of the squishy supports on the side of Tangoes, but until then, there's not going to be too many openings being made. Might go try to get a gank on the Magnetar. Magnetar, level 3, has really been kept back very adeptly by the Rubik, who is level 4. So Magnetar really having a miserable time thus far. As, yeah, I think Twitch is just screwing up at the moment. Hopefully I'll get it fixed for the next game, because right now, not too sure what's going on. The internet on my end seems to be pretty good. But anyway, Maglev Gank Train getting very close to the drums. Nature's Prophet continue to jungle. Windrunner is going to fight the Barometer, as there was initiation by the Nyx, so Barometer just a bit too tank. That armor by the Trickles helped him out a bit, and he had a full stick of butter in the form of that magic wand. We'll be able to scare him we'll help him to live, as Magnetar is going to get engaged on that top lane. Will die to the continued outburst harassment, but meanwhile, the Ray going to push down the bottom tower. Steps out, only level 4, doesn't have access into the second creep just yet. But maybe they anticipate Magnetar getting ganked, they just decide to push in. Windrunner does have potential to anti-push very, very soon, as that power shot is going to start to hurt. Almost level 7, so almost has a max level of the power shot. But Barra is going to engage on the Rubik, going to help Magnetar pick up 1 kill. Nicely done with Barra. Anytime Barra does decide to gank, he really, in the early stages of the game, he really needs to get a kill, because that's more time, whereas Blink Dagger will just get disabled. But Barrett, with that haste turn, able to pick up a very, very easy kill. Will keep the Rubik back by quite a bit, and more importantly, help protect that tower for a decent amount of time. As Nyx Assassin is waiting in the wings, gonna reveal himself, gonna pop the Impale, but it just gets Skewer Dodge. I don't know why he didn't go Vendetta. He had it up, as I think that might have been the smarter choice. So a little bit of questionable decision making by Rat in the Dark, but hopefully it won't cost them too much, as Barrett are getting very, very close to his attack. Once he picks that up, it'll just mean nobody on the map before Rat in the Dark is going to be safe. Weaver, keep in mind that Fade Tom and Chikuchi, pretty significant, especially when he only has less than 700 HP at this stage in the game. 1 Shockwave with some Firefly damage and a lasso will just eat him up for breakfast. So far, Dire in a little bit of trouble. Nyx Assassin lost that bottom lane, or lost that middle lane. Windrunner lost the tower, even though she was able to hit level 7 very, very quickly. As Vendetta is going to go down onto the Barrier. Here comes the Impale to follow it up. Power Shot will be in the picture. Mana Burn will easily clean up the kill on the Barrier. Barrier, keep in mind, if he does go for that Dagger Rush, will be quite squishy, but wasn't anticipating the Nyx Assassin. Radiant don't have any wards spawning out the runes, so Nyx Assassin was free to Vendetta up in peace, as Radiant only have 1 ward, which indicates they really want to get a push going. This ward does spot out TPs from here, and keep in mind when teams are pushing in, this will be revealed. So it looks like they're just going to have Lifesteal free farm and use that ward to prevent ganks rather than push in. Meanwhile, we see Jarex hiding in the shadows of the jungle. Gonna try to bait out a gank, but so far Steph Stout and Frigoli are smoked up. Could be a counter gank of very, very disastrous proportions for the Dire. Gonna see Nyx roam in. Has the Vendetta up as well as the DD rune. And keep in mind, the Radiant have no vision whatsoever, as the smoke will time out very, very soon, I imagine. If Nyx goes in a bit too early, the smoke will just get dispelled, so Nyx waiting a long time. Want to get Weaver as much farm as possible. I don't know if they saw the smoke. I think they just want to go in for a gank on the Magnetar, but DD is popped, as Chen and Xiao Shan just waiting in the woods, as it looks like they're just going to try to use this DD as well as the push to try to take down this tier 1 tower. But Stepstyle and Frigoli are waiting in the woodworks. Huge reverse, going to immediately catch 3 heroes. Lapis pops spiked. Weaver is going to be the first one to die. That is crucial, as Lasso goes on onto the Nyx Assassin. He's going to die. Rubik stole the reverse. What a play! But Maglev Gank Chain able to avoid that, able to get more damage on. And Nick Assassin is on the tree. Napalm's going to be stacked up, but no vision means that Nick Assassin will escape. As, man, what a reverse by Floxplux, as he was able to get a really nice reverse. Nicely done by the Rubik as well, stealing the reverse, but without Weaver, they really are lacking in terms of early game damage. Kuchi does a lot of damage. Gemini attack can be underestimated in terms of the damage it deals out. Nature's Prophet at this stage pretty much does no damage. And Nick Assassin was bursted back very quickly, so he was forced to retreat. So despite that brilliant reverse by the Rubik, the reverse by Magnetar meant the victory of the battle right before the Dire could even do anything. And this is going to mean a tier tower push by the side of the Radiant. Gonna pop the Serpent Wards, checking out Sisso's farm. We'll have the dagger up in about maybe 2.5 more minutes. You know, Maglev Gank Train with the drums, gonna go for that armor build. Very standard as Xiao Shan picks up a very easy tower. Figly, gonna have those arcane boots up very soon. Chen also level 6, pop the Hanagon in that last team fight. Very crucial. And Magnus making his way towards the Blink Dagger, so right in the dark. Starting to get a bit of pressure being applied to them for the first time in this tournament thus far. This could be a bit of a problem for them going into the mid game, because I think with the help of the Magnetar and the Barometer, Weaver will not be able to remain safe, and considering Windrunner is probably high leveled, but really not too much farm to speak of. Nature's Puppet really does not make too much of an impact whatsoever. I'm not really liking this Urn, as Urn is really useful in terms of ganking, but Nature's Puppet hasn't been ganking. He was trying to push. He managed to get... He actually wasn't even involved in that kill on the Magnetar in the top lane for both of the scenarios. So he's just using this Urn to hopefully secure the team fight, but really, in the early stages of the game, what does Urn honestly do aside from sustain your mana regen in the jungle? Maglev Gank Chain, very close to that armor, checking out the gold graph. Pretty significant gold advantage, 2k gold in the or 2k gold advantage for the side of the rain because of those towers experience advantage. Actually slightly in favor of the Dark because they do have a jungler. Chen has been roaming quite a bit, meanwhile Boogie has just been AFK jungle for the most part. And he's actually going back into the Midas to feel his experience. Really interesting, as Nature's Prophet, even with a rush Midas, usually gets around 8 to 9 minutes where it just becomes reasonable to get if you want to look at the gold cost ratio. But he's getting it very late. He wants to get the experience up. It won't be efficient until around the 30-minute mark if you just judge it by the gold. But I think this is mostly to help fuel his experience, get him to a fast level 11. Keep in mind that Wrath of Nature push will become very difficult for the side of Tangoes to handle. They are not the most mobile lineup. So I think this Midas build will just help Nature's Prophet hit that fast 11, get the push going, and really prevent Tangoes from pushing in. But still, he's going to be a long way from that happening. As actually, he's going to be quite close, but he's going to be a long way from level 11. Meanwhile, Maglev Gank Train has yet to be addressed 2-0. We'll have that armored up in about 100 gold. Going to be a slight push attempt using some Shockwave. Rubik is, as they are just playing very safe. They want to have Weaver's Lincolns up ASAP. You saw the Barrett, and once he teleported in, his eyes were immediately drawn to the Weaver, got the Flaming Lasso, and there was honestly nothing Weaver could do. But still, the Lincolns is about 1800 gold away, so that is not going to be in the near future anytime soon. It's probably going to be maybe an 18-19 minute Lincolns. Meanwhile, Barrett should have the dagger if he cleared out of the jungle. No, he just picked up the dagger, so 15-minute dagger. Pretty much on schedule. Well, a little bit late, but he has been active 2-1-1. Not the best CS for a Barrett in the mid lane, but still 2-1, not feeding. Able to provide significant pressure in some teamfight engagements. So definitely not the worst timing on that Blink Dagger considering what he's been involved in thus far. Windrunner just going to rush a Force Staff, so Nature's Prophet, he's going to get Midas into mech, so he actually won't do damage for quite a bit, since Windrunner is going for his straight up Force Staff. Nobody else will get mech. Maybe Nyx will go back into the mech, but Nyx just needs a lot of mana, even with the Arcane Boots in the bottle. Nyx is one of those heroes who always wants that mana, especially once the mana run starts getting leveled up. If he wants to spam it as much as possible, won't have the mana to afford that mechanism. Although there might not be a better option, considering Nature's Prophet going to be quite far away from finishing that, even though he does have the Midas up. And now Boogie will hit level 9. Gonna start fueling his way towards level 11, get the split push going, but Centaur gonna be dropped for Steph Style. Trying to D-ward as well as spotting it out. And Steph Style gonna be a bit unhappy, but Skewer gonna easily break down the trees. So stepped out, just got a free invisibility rune, and now they know there is Sentry Ward in the picture.
Regeneration!
Looks like Tangoes is just going to play it very calm, very safe.
Middle tower
No, there's
is
not
under
too much
attack.
pressure for them to go in and just try to end the game. Just going to get Leicester a bit of farm. They had the dagger up them Batrider, and I imagine dagger is going to be secured for the Magnus. Actually, he picked up the arcane boots rather than fishing that dagger, so dagger will be out of the picture quite a bit for the Magnetar. I guess that's pretty okay, since he can just use Skewer into RP at this stage in the game. Right in the dark. Really not the most mobile app, no 4 steps. Well, they are very mobile, what am I saying? But there's nothing like a mech, and as long as the Magnetar can survive, as long as he doesn't take too much damage, he will manage to at least hit one person in his RP. And of course, he definitely needs a mana regen in the form of the arcane boots. And now Batrider is level 11. This is the most dangerous time in the game for the Dire Heroes. Batrider Lasso, pretty short cooldown, can blink in, relatively tanky as well, fully stocked magic wand. So Batrider blink in with the Lasso and the Firefly, and you can do that every 70 seconds. And this is a very deadly stage of the game. But Ryan in the Dark just going to play very passively, saying, out of Tangoes, you make the first move. As if this game does go to ultra late game, never count the team with the reverse, but Ryan in the Dark's heroes do scale a bit better than the heroes on the side of the Radiant. Shao Shan will just die if he doesn't pick up anything like BK. That's going to blink in Lasso onto the Rubik. JRX is going to be killed very, very quickly despite a nice shackle shot by the Windrunner. The Wrath of Nature, the Chen, just a little bit too much. As Windrunner going to pick up a Illusion Rune. Batrider in 50 more seconds will just be able to pick up another kill as he's going to teleport to the top lane, trying to protect his Magnetars. Napalms are being stacked up and going to force Weaver away. This Batrider playing very, very smartly thus far, as now the Lasso will be back online in about 35 seconds. So again, it's going to be very difficult for Riot in the Dark to position themselves against a Batrider if they don't have the wards in place. Looks like Riot in the Dark recognize that Lasso is on cooldown. They want to do something, but it's so difficult to push in against a Chen at this stage of the game and against an RP, even though it was used. Magnus is going to be healing up, and Leicester decided to join the party. Is going to try to do some blink Lasso bombs very, very soon. Sisso just weighing the wings. Lasso is up. As the creeps are being cleared, you can see Windrunner is staying super far back. No vision by the Radiant, as all their wards have been counter-warded for the most part. Nicely done by the Riot in the Dark supports, but still. That means supports are quite poor. Rubik, 1-3-1. Actually, not the worst farm, but the good thing for the side of the Dire is that Weaver has finally fished up that Lincoln Sphere, but it might be a bit too late because we saw another Lasso gank with the bomb exploding right onto Windrunner's awaiting face. I'm sure she did not like that whatsoever.
Dire's middle tower has fallen.
And the push is going to come in. The Serpent Ones are going to drop. This is going to be a tier 2 as there's going to be Blink forward. Nice flame break back. Boogie never stood a chance. Nicely done. This Batrider definitely being the MVP for his team, playing so aggressive, playing so well. Really making a huge impact in this game. As really, I don't know if Riot in the Dark can defend this. They're definitely not going to defend their tier 2 as the wards are in the picture. Open Woods is going to be popped in JRX. He's going to be pushed back by the flame break. Once again, here comes a Rage Leicester, going to immediately kill down the Rubik. Next trying to escape RP, going to be just a bit too much. Lapis going to die as well. Going to be a mess. Teleports to try to help the top lane. Weaver trying to do whatever he can. Unfortunately, not able to take the tower. At least it's not in deny range, as Weaver is the only saving grace on the side of the Dire. But again, it's going to be difficult against an RP and a Lasso, even with the Lincolns, if they manage to get something like a Hex to dispel it, or they use Lasso into Hex and a Lasso. Or even if Tangoes just picks up a fast gem, Weaver will just be very, very ineffective. Meanwhile, Winner has picked a 4-staff gold graph. not the biggest goal deficit, but 10-3. Not looking good for the side of Ryan in the Dark. They've claimed 2 towers, so they're not in the worst shape map control wise. Experience graph only slightly ahead in favor of the side of out of Tangoes because of the mice and the fact that Weaver has been split pushing it up, but still. Even though Weaver and Nature's Prophet are starting to get themselves back in the game, I'm really starting to worry about the Nyx, the Rubik, and the Windrunner, as they are just going to be hard-pressed to have any meaningful impact in this game if they keep getting bursted down very, very quickly in these team fights. You can see Rubik, despite picking up the first blood, really just relegated to complete support capacity. Not even any goal to spare for some arcane boots. As Nature's Prophet is that fish mech, no, just gonna be an Ultra Orb, so rather than fight without a mech, this indicates that they don't actually want to fight, ever, for quite a bit. They just want to split push with Weaver, split push with the Nature's Prophet, saying out of Tangoes will give you a taste of your own medicine. But the question is, will that actually work, as actually the Centaur is gonna block off this camp. They were trying to deward it up, but I guess Rubik got a bit impatient. Not too sure what the point of this Centaur is. But it is going to prevent this camp from respawning. Maybe nobody will just end up killing this camp. As Steph Style going to roam in almost level 1 with that fish mechanism, as well as the arcane boots, can go to 4 staff, can start building towards the Aghanimps. The world is his. Baron, on the other hand, with a newly finished 4 step, as well as Hasten, means that whoever he targets will just die. Nyx Assassin actually went for the Dagon. Interesting. Gonna give him a bit more burst damage, but still. The Hand of God and the mechanism gonna make it very difficult for the Nyx to actually burst somebody down if the Chen is not his target. As Flox gonna teleport out with the Lifesteal in the back. And this Radiant top tier will end up dying as Nyx Assassin does kill the Barrier with that gank. Watching the tower exchange as Magnus gonna blink forward, trying to catch off the Weaver. Syphil will just kite Magnus to no end. As did he use reverse? I guess he did, but unfortunately it whiffed. As Lifesteal gonna pop out. Weaver, oh no, nice time lapse by the Weaver as he's gonna run the opposite direction. And I think this might be the cue that out of Tangoes needs to pick up a gem. And actually, Shadow Sean, very far, I'm gonna go for that Halberd. Try to shut down the Weaver. Another way to break the link and allow Lasso to get in place. Keep in mind Halberd, I think has a pretty decent cast range, 600, 700, 650. I think it's around 600. So, pretty solid way to disable the Lincoln Sphere of the Weaver. If you manage to disable his attacks as well, that's just icing on the cake. But so far, Tango's gonna lose 2 towers very quickly, as well as a Batrider. So now, they might start to feel a little bit uncomfortable as Batrider gonna use the Firefly to prevent the push. The creeps will end up dying. But here comes the engagement. Lifesteal going to take a bit of harassment from the Weaver. They're actually going to try to chase down the Lifesteal and don't know if it's the best idea as Jarex Lubik is going to be the first one to die. Nice shackle shot onto Frigoli. Will allow the Weaver to clean up the kill on Frigoli. Frigoli will end up dying as Maglev Gangcheck being held in place. Where is Magnus? There is Magnus. No RP online just yet as Nyx Assassin going to try to teleport away. Shockwave just a bit too much. Weaver just try to scurry his way out of there. Will escape successfully, but overall it's going to be a 2-1 victory in favor of the Raid. If they lose the Weaver right now, that could be huge blow for the Dire. He does not want to run back through the Barrier in fear of the Barrier knowing which direction he's traveling in. Nice play by the Weaver. And meanwhile, Nature's probably just going to start this push on his own side. Gonna use his Midas. Use your Midas, bro. I guess he wants to use it for a big creep to get the experience. But he's getting pretty close to the Hex. And that could be trouble for the Lifestealer. As once his rage time's out, there will be Shadow Shot, there will be Impale. There will be a Hex in the picture very, very soon if they manage to hex somebody like the Magnetar or the Barra. It could be very dangerous as Barra going to blink forward with the 4-staff, going to find himself, and Nature's probably going to use a Flame Break. Dispel the TP, waiting as long as possible. As he has the lasso up, will use the lasso, trying to apply the damage as long as possible, but still, nice calculations by the Barrider. As even though he was forced to use the lasso, wasted a lot of Nature's Prophet time. And we'll start the push going for the bottom tier 2 tower. And this tower means it will be a free Roshan. It's going to be blink forward by the Magnetar. Going to get the skewer going. Maglev Gang Chain doesn't care about Spike Carapace. Leicester just going to go ham on that Nyx Assassin as a nice shackle shot. Going to pin him to the Sprout, but unfortunately, where is the damage going to come from? Weaver. Where is Weaver? He is fighting in the foreground, trying to pick off the Shadow Shots, but he's going to be shackled in place. Here comes Leicester. Back in place, but a nice power shot. Lever getting time lapse. He will time lapse off all the damage of the Lifestealer as Nyx Assassin is still alive. Frigoli or Flox does not have RP, gonna try to empower the Lifestealer, but Ryan the Dark starting to make a bit of a comeback, will successfully kill off the Lifestealer with one more Shikuchi auto attack. Gem attack gonna proc. Nice armor toggling by the Lifestealer, as the Shackle Shot will be too much. Meanwhile, Magnetar on the top lane will teleport out successfully. And I thought I heard buybacks, but I guess I was mistaken. But overall, a nice victory for Ryan the Dark. Managed to take that despite losing a tower. 3-2. Didn't lose the Weaver. Weaver was able to get a huge amount of experience. We'll try to use this opportunity to take Roshan, because all things considered, they have no more Roshan control despite being on the Dire. In terms of reinforcing that Roshan very quickly with the towers. Weaver does have the Manta style finish. It will be quite useful in terms of dispelling something like a silence, as Magnus gonna for the RP. No silence in the picture just yet, as Leicester actually went for the SNY. And despite Ryan the Dark winning that team fight, keep in mind they lost the tower, only got one more extra kill, and Barrett was not in the picture, as Nick Assassin gonna slow down the assault, will pick off the Shadow Shaman, as now Barrett will have to escape. Ryan the Dark making a huge comeback, as out of Tangoes will retreat for now. But so far, Ryan the Dark looking very, very sharp. Shackle Shot gonna go down onto that Barrier Illusion. That Barrier Illusion, all he wanted to do was juke the other team, but unfortunately his reign of terror has ended for now. On Boogie World, I think he died in that last team fight. I think he was one who bought back, and as it is, he's going to lose his life as quickly as he regained it, as he is going to be still far away from his Hex. Very unfortunate with that buyback and with the successive deaths. He is not going to have too much of a presence for quite a bit, as Barrett is going to force staff in. Barrett now level 16, that last 50-second cooldown, so strong, as Rubik trying to escape, but still no hope for this Rubik. And Lasso will be back up very, very soon, as now it has the same cooldown essentially as Firefly. So whoever Barrett drags will just die, unless it's a Weaver who gets the Lincoln buff dispelled. But still, I think Ryan the Dark might have to be a bit careful, because Weaver at this point doesn't pump out too much damage, so there's always the option for Tangoes to actually just to ignore everybody aside from the Weaver, because Weaver by himself, only with the Manta style, really doesn't hit too hard. I mean, sure, 300 damage per gem attack, quite respectable, but considering there's a Hand of God and a mechanism in place, I think Tangoes can actually afford to ignore him for a bit. Meow Boogie gonna finally pick up his Mystic Staff. We'll have buyback up very, very shortly. Gonna try to finish off his Hex, I imagine, as meanwhile in Barrett World, Sisso just playing absolute, just unleashing all sorts of havoc on the side of the Dire. No other way to describe it. As Magnus gonna steer out from the trap of the trees. But the Dire were able to claim a tier 2. So actually the Roshan control is pretty much null and void for the most part. And overall Dire have easier access because they are closer. But Roshan's not going to be a problem for quite a bit, because Weaver still has the Aegis, although his Aegis will time out in about 3.5-4 minutes. Nature's Prophet does pick up the Scythe of Ice, so now it might become a bit of a problem for Tangoes. But I think if they manage to finish the refresher on the Magnetar, all will be well and good inside of the Swedes world. As Leicester are going to go for a Halberd himself. Actually, I guess Shaoshan just picked up for the HP. Eventually we'll go for the Halberd, but still, it's going to be quite far away. But Hex is going to become an issue very, very shortly for the side of Tangoes. As Gem is up on the Barrett and will be able to spy out Weaver's movements. He only has 1600 HP, so he can still die relatively easily. He doesn't have anything like a play mail, but still Barrett just staying very far back, has Leicester inside him. Should be okay. Power Shot going to scout the competition. Nick Assassin going to wrap around, but Barrett will see him with a gem. Oh, there goes the Blinken. Was trying to pick off the gem, but still. Assassin unfortunately realized that Barrett and Gem a bit too late, as he's going to pay the price with his life. Meanwhile, on the bottom lane, Weaver's going to try to split push it up,
Dyer's top
getting pretty
tower
close to his
is
next
under
big item. Wonder what he's going to go for. Probably
Dyer's
something like a
structures are
Crystallis,
fortified.
as he really desperately needs damage. He has a lot of survivability with that Manta as well as Liquid Sphere, as there is going to be a teleport bottom lane.
Dyer's
Nature's
top
probably
tower
trying to pick
has
up the kill
fallen.
on Floxbox if they manage to kill the Magnetar right now. That is going to prevent the push for quite a bit, but Batter is back in the picture. Buki will end up dying. He's going to try to bait out the Flame Break as long as possible, but still Batter can just firefly ahead. Mind games galore, but Batter in this fight always has the advantage, as Buki is going to die.
The forest. Burn out.
You know, Chen doing the dance of death. Windrunner unfortunately being scared away by these creeps, as Windrunner finished the Orchid. Meanwhile, we'll use this time to check out the gold graph and experience graph yet again. Gold graph actually slightly in favor of the Dire, even though they still have to claim one more outer tower. They do have minus, they have split pushing, overall better farm. Experience graph only slightly in favor of Tangoes, but still, just looking at the overall teamfight scenario, Magnus is getting dangerous close to Refresher. Whenever there's Refresher Magnus in the game, you always have to favor his team in the late game. Yeah, Leicester did pick up the SNY, has only died once. Gonna have the Halberd shipping towards him. The Talisman Invasion is gonna do quite a number against Weaver, so Weaver might be forced to go for something like an MKV. And the HS is gonna time out in about 30 seconds, so out of Tangos. I think they're gonna use this time to push in very, very soon. Boogie, no buyback. They're probably waiting for the refresher on the Magnus before they decide to push in, but still. It's gonna be very, very difficult for Dark to actually hold off the assault, as the base towers for the most part still full HP, so even if there's a backdoor attempt, it should be okay, as Weaver is gonna get held in place by a Shackle. Like it's gonna dispel. Do they actually have the damage? They're gonna skewer backward, gonna chain stuns, but Weaver's Aegis, unfortunately, I think Tango's timed that gank, so the Weaver Aegis would time out, but unfortunately Weaver Aegis literally had, I think it just would have died right then and there. But Weaver thanking Roshan and gonna kill the centaurs with a vengeance. But you saw, even with a lot of damage, with a lot of sales, how difficult it is to kill the Weaver. Imagine if Weaver's surrounded by his team. Weaver essentially is immortal, and that's why I believe Weaver should try to pick up a damage on him very, very soon, rather than going for something like a Heart or a BKB. Meanwhile, Lapis picked up the dagger, so now they have some for initiation, as well as in positioning the Impales. Keep in mind, if Impale is properly positioned, it's essentially a 3-second stun in an AoE. Pretty ridiculous. 2.77 seconds. Very ridiculous, almost rivals reverse at level 2. Keep in mind, it doesn't suck him in place, but still. Very, very good item for the next assassin. Meanwhile, let's see what Nature's Prophet decides to go for now. He's finished the Hex, Orchid's already up for the Windrunner. And Ryan the Dark fighting this entire game without a mechanism, as I think the point of Ryan the Dark's decision not to get a mechanism is they really don't want a team fight ever, because they're against a Barada and they're against a Magnetar with the Lifesteal Bomb. They're just going to try to split push, try to get the ganks going, but still, how are they going to gank? It's going to be very difficult to say. But eventually, Ryan the Dark will just out-farm the side of the rain, because Nature's Prophet can farm all over the map, can farm the jungle. Weaver, very difficult to kill. Needs at least 3 people to gank him at this stage in the game if they don't use a reverse. As Barretter, meanwhile, continues rampage, will kill the Weaver. That is pretty huge, as Weaver does have buyback, but did lose a significant chunk of gold. Probably around 600 gold, which could have been used to finish a straight up MKB. And now Weaver will have to buy back. That's going to net him a loss of an additional 1200 gold. So it'll be very far away from whatever diamond he goes for, unless Tangoes decides to play it safe. But no, it looks like they're going to try to push in. But Weaver looks like at this pace will respawn. Dire should have a glyph up by the time Tangoes reaches the base. It looks like that will be the case. So Tangoes just going to continue to farm. Refresher is finished on the Magnetar, so I'm not too sure how much Tangoes can keep farming. It's really difficult for them to actually push in against the Nature's Prophet and Weaver split pushing, but still. There's only so much progression a Chen and a Xiaoshan can make. Chen actually keeping up the warding, Gonna go for the items eventually. Shadow Shaman, on the other hand, has been relegated to the 4 role, actually taking quite a bit of farm. Finished the dagger, which I imagine was pretty instrumental in securing that kill on the Weaver. So now, out of Tangoes, if it was possible, have even more initiation on their side, and that is very scary indeed. Now that Blinking Hex, Blinking Lasso, Blinking Lifesteal Bomb, Blinking Reverse, Blinking Double Reverse, all I need is a Blinking in Shen, and the nightmare is complete. But still, it's very difficult to push into these guys. They're going to smoke up, try to look for a gank. As I'm not too sure if that ward actually spotted out. Very interesting ward. Not going to be easily dewarded by a gem or anything like that, which I think was the whole point of placing that ward. As this ward pretty unusual as well, but all the trees have been cut down. Barra should have an easy time dewarding that out, as he still does have the gem. Winrunner is going to cut out, going to use the reverse, as well as the Lifesteal Bomb. But Rubik did steal the reverse. They're going to have to kill him right now. He will end up dying, as that's going to be very unfortunate. Winrunner is forced to buy back, but there's going to be a counter initiation by Nature's Bomb. I don't know what they're doing because Magnus has the refresher reverse up. The Magnus is just waiting for the combo, but a nice shackle shot by the Winrunner. Here comes Barrier, dragging Buki out of place. Lifesteal trying to do whatever he can, try to survive for the most part, but Buki is going to be the next one to fall. Here comes a reverse onto the Weaver. Weaver is going to die. He has buyback, but still the rest of his team is dead for quite a bit. And Barrier will have that last up very, very soon. He finished the Hex, actually. As the Magnetar and the Barrier just... Man, how can you let them through if you don't get something like a Coddle Whisper on your side? All they got was a Nyx, who's really good, but he doesn't win teamfights by himself. Well, he can with Spiked Carapace proc, but still. I don't know how you can give up Magnetar and Barrier and hope to win the game. It's just too hard. As I imagine somebody is going to receive the Banhammer. But still, Tango's very reluctant to push in. I guess they're trying to eliminate all the buybacks possible on the side of the Dire. Weaver's buyback is on cooldown, Nature's Prophet buyback is on cooldown. They're going to go for the Roche, playing it super safe.
Regeneration.
RP will be up in about 40 seconds. Ghost Scepter has been added to Magnetar's repertoire of items, and now he can pretty much ignore the Weaver and Nature's Prophet for the most part. If there's an Hex in the picture, Weaver gonna try to disrupt this Roshan, but no buyback. Shackle onto Freely, but really they can't initiate. Maglev taking a bit of harassment, gonna get orchided as well, as it's gonna be initiation by Nature's Prophet onto Steph Style. Steph Style will end up dying right here, and Flamebreak gonna push Weaver away from the cliff, as Lap is taking damage from a Lifestealer with the Rage on. Is gonna die despite his thorny hide. Meanwhile, Blink and Lasso onto the Weaver yet again. Weaver gonna get hexed. He's gonna have to run away for the majority of the battle. Ghost Scepter being applied by the Rubik, but still, there's only so long he can run, as Barrier doing so much damage to the Firefly. Winner is gonna escape for Rubik. Unfortunately, will not. Winner is gonna die. No buyback. Weaver's gonna die. No buybacks. This should be the game. Well, Farian's alive, I guess. As he saw the Halberd putting in work, preventing the Weaver from attacking, dispelling the Lincolns. Radiant gonna claim a very easy Roshan. Only person they lost is the Chen. Golograph starting to take a pretty big swing. I imagine they'll cap out at around 10k. Experience advantage taking a huge swing for the Radiant. As Boogie, you do know the lasso cooldown on level 3 is 50 seconds. You are just gonna die. Not even gonna use the lasso just because he's a Hex. Boogie's dead. No buyback. But Weaver is gonna respawn. Did he pick up any items? He didn't, as he's just been dying constantly. He might just actually be saving up for a Rapier, as really I don't see many other options in this game. But still, he is a long ways away from that. As Weaver is gonna respawn, Nature's Prophet will respawn in about 45 seconds. Will be enough time for Out of Tangos to claim at least one barracks, but this is trademark Out of Tangos. Despite whatever kill advantage they have, they're just going to play safe. They are going to wait for the opponents to make mistakes, not going to dedicate themselves too much. As they have the dagger up on the Magnus, so they have double reverse up. So if they want to initiate, they could potentially wipe everybody on the side of Rat and kill them all. But we're going to see a Blinking Hex and a Lasso disabling the Weaver. As here comes reverse onto the Weaver. Weaver might be able to survive as he can time lapse out. Refresher is popped, but unfortunately Magnus is out of mana. JRX is going to get shackled in place by the Rasta. Meanwhile, Maglev Gang Train going to dispel whatever orchids you have on him with the Manta style. Barrett picks up the Nyx Assassin. Weaver is forced to retreat. Nature's Prophet is going to respond very, very quickly. The wards have finally been dropped, and they are going to go to work on the tower. Mechanism is going to be used, and I think the Dire are going to have to retreat for now. No, JRX going to try to fight it out. Mono E-Mono against Lifestealer. Never really a good option. As Nature's Prophet says, I want to get in on this cage match. He's going to sprout the Lifestealer. Unfortunately, not inside with him, so he is going to be very disappointed with that cage match, and as it is, he is going to die. Floxbox with the Skewer head. Going to pick off whatever retreating people there are on the side of the Dire. And Tangoes is going to take the first game, tying up the series 1-1. So, Rad in the Dark might have to be a bit worried. As GG go next is the call by the admin.
Dire's top tower has fallen. Dire's top barracks.
But yeah, I will be back very, very soon. Unfortunately, this is a replay cast. I had bad weather. I couldn't stream it when it was originally going on. And unfortunately, Valve, despite many efforts to contact them, the replay for Game 2 was actually lost. But Freely was kind enough to explain what exactly went on. Basically, Tangoes got a Magnetar, and the only carry on the side of Ride in the Dark was a Gyrocopter, so Magnetar just reversed Gyrocopter every single time. And Tangoes, I think, had 2 primary damage to it. It might have been something like a Shadow Fiend Lifestealer, something like that. But Tangoes actually won Game 2 in the first of 3 set. So now they are up 2-1. So we'll be back with Game 3 very, very shortly. Again, very disappointed that we can't watch Game 2, but hopefully you won't miss it too much. But we'll be back with Game 3 very, very shortly. As Tangoes have the advantage 2-1, Ride in the Dark, looking a little bit shaky, finally meeting their match for the first time in the tournament. The question is, can they actually recover and come out on top? Again, this has been a presentation by bballin from DotaCommentary.com, bballin773 on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. bballin773 at Gmail is where you can contact me. And shouts to sponsors and Then Some Gaming, Steel Series, and Complet for putting on this turn. But I'll be back with Game 3 very shortly. See you in a bit.